There is huge uproar over actor Aamir Khan's latest movie, Laal Singh Chaddha. Former England spinner Monty Panesar lashed out at the movie, calling it a disgrace to the Indian Army and to Sikhs. Panesar highlighted how Forrest Gump fits in the US Army because the United States during the Vietnam War was forced to recruit low IQ men to meet requirements for the conflict. In India, there is stringent criteria for selection. A candidate in India has to go through tough physical, mental and psychological training. He also shared a list of honors that have been won by Sikhs who served in the Indian Army. Monty Panesar's comments have only added fuel to this fire of boycott Laal Singh Chaddha. These trends have been active for over a month on social media platforms.
Gaurav, definitely not. I think it's highly disgraceful. The whole project of 1 lakh. We are a very professional army, first and foremost. And secondly, we don't have these kind of characters. And you can't portray a Sikh gentleman like this here. I think it's very, very disgraceful. At least I would like to see the movie, but whatever I've heard of it, that's not the way to project it. I don't think it would have been cleared by anybody. At least I don't know if there was a system whether it had to be put up to the Ministry of Defense for clearing such a project or something. But anyway, notwithstanding the very fact that a thing like this has to be done, I think the basic sensitivity of the troops should have been maintained. This is not the way to project. Where is the US Army in that context, and where is the present Indian Army? Would it, in any case, I think it is totally out of context, very disgraceful. That's not the way to show. And anyway, even if it was cinematic, it should have been shown differently. They not project the Indian Army like this. I think it is not good.
And it's shocking. First of all, we are talking about the Indian Army. We don't conscript, McNamara morons into our army. And that to the special forces, they select the best of the best. You can't have someone, disrespecting our soldier just because they want to make an adaptation and fit it into an Indian context where it doesn't fit. Forrest Gump was a fantastic movie, but...
Former England spinner Monty Panesar has called the depiction of soldiers and Sikhs in Aamir Khan's starrer Laal Singh Chaddha not just disrespectful, but also disgraceful. And he's not the only one. Can lifting a script about low IQ US soldiers drafted for Vietnam as part of a failed project called the McNamara Morons be used in the Indian perspective? Is this creative liberty, or is there merit in veterans, or at least some of them, saying this is hugely offensive? Joining me on the show, Meghna Girish, mother of brave Major Akshay Girish, who made the supreme sacrifice of his life fighting Pakistani terrorists at Nagrota in Jammu and Kashmir. Lieutenant General Sanjay Kulkarni is former Director General of Infantry. Meghna Pant is an author and an analyst, and Nasir Abdullah is an actor. I want to begin by asking Meghna Girish. Monty Panesar says the film is a disgrace to the Indian Armed Forces and to Sikhs. Do you agree or disagree with his take, and why?
I agree, because first of all, I don't think that Forrest Gump, which suited the context that it was made in America, when the American army conscripted a whole lot of, they lowered their standards physically and mentally for soldiers to be taken in to fight the Vietnam War. And the whole world knows that they took the maximum number of casualties over there. To bring that into India and say that our government or our armed forces recruited, young people into the Indian Army with low standards of IQ is totally wrong. And that too, to say that they could become special forces soldiers. The special forces recruit the best of the best. So I think this is totally just not suited at all to the adaptation that has been done. It's like just force feeding, from somewhere to somewhere. It's absolutely...
Okay. Let me bring in Nasir Abdullah and Meghna Pant on this. Nasir Abdullah, you first. Bollywood, does it lack originality? Nakal ke liye bhi akal chahiye hoti hai, is what several people on social media platforms are saying. Lift a film about Vietnam and McNamara morons, change the context to Kargil. Former Army Chief General Ved Malik, he was Army Chief during the Kargil War. He says anyone who thinks our soldiers are McNamara morons is a moron himself.
Yeah, here is the deal, sir. Let's get one thing straight. You've actually given me all the comparisons with other films, etc. Aamir Khan is a very gifted actor, filmmaker, director, whatever, producer, a Padma Vibhushan recipient. He has made great, great shows about the Indian bravehearts, the martyrs, and the works. He has made a film for the people at large to enjoy and to whatever. And I cannot for the life of me imagine Aamir doing anything that could hurt or make fun of the sentiments of anybody. This is the only entertainment we have in India, pretty much for the poor people. But always, somebody always finds something. Imagine Monty Python, a cricket spinner, bowler based in the UK, is saying something, it's horrible, it's terrible stuff. I don't get it. Please, this is a film, and I am sure, I can say this with 100% surety. I know Aamir, he's my junior. I almost happened to see him grow in a way, and I know the family.
Okay.
Very nice human being.
Very nice human being who makes a
lovely
film
man.
which takes a US context, juxtaposes it in India, which our
That's
veterans
all
say
right.
does not fit.
So
Does not fit.
Who cares? It doesn't matter. It's a film, for God's sake. It is not a documentary that will be archived and to show the history of the country. It is a film with some fantasy shown. The idea is to show a situation. It doesn't matter. If it's a photocopy, it's okay. So many copies have been made. Lots of copies have flopped.
Nakal ke liye akal nahi chahiye is what you're saying.
Sorry?
Nakal ke liye akal nahi chahiye is what you're saying.
Absolutely not. I mean, why are you bringing this line anyway? It is stupid on your part to bring this line. He has made a film that everybody's liking. Why can't
everybody's
you accept
liking
that
the cinema halls we are told are empty, but be that as it may. Fair enough. You are entitled to your view.
No, but you are not entitled to this view because it is not fair. You're talking about the film industry. We are not talking about politics or the army's movement, etc. We are talking about entertainment, and the director has the liberty
to creative liberty is what
you
you're saying. Let me take this to General Kulkarni.
He doesn't offend it.
Let me take this to General Kulkarni. General Kulkarni, of course, Nasir Abdullah is of the view कि नकल के लिए अकल नहीं चाहिए होती है. But General Kulkarni, the context, US lacked soldiers in Vietnam. So Robert McNamara, then US Secretary of Defense, came up with what was known as Project 100,000. Subpar soldiers, soldiers with low IQ were drafted into the US Army and sent to Vietnam. In your appreciation, you were Director General of India's Infantry, and you as a young captain, you planted the first tricolor at the Siachen Glacier. Sir, can that context be used in India? Do we have such low IQ soldiers in India?
I'm sorry,
Gaurav, not at all. Let me be honest with you. I have seen Forrest Gump. I know the acting of Tom Hanks. I am not denying the acting of Aamir Khan or anyone for that matter. What is important is you cannot adapt a film like that kind. If they had to show, they could have shown anything else. They can't show the army in poor light, and definitely not a Sikh soldier in a poor light, first and foremost. Ours is a very professional army. You are not looking like what Americans are looking at in Vietnam, and a lack of morons being enrolled because they were finding it extremely difficult. They could have taken it. But if an adaptation had to be done, it has to be done very. We are not talking of cinematic or anything of that kind. At this point of time, it's highly disgraceful. It speaks very poorly of the Indian army and the Sikh soldiers at large. I think it's not done. Whatever it may be, you may be class, you may be excellent, but you've got to be sensitive to situations. You cannot adapt something that is US to India. If it had to be done, we aren't that kind of an army at all. Ours is a very professional army. You cannot say that we are making a film, please detach yourself, it's a film. No, not at all. If you have to make a film, then let it be total fiction, and let's not have our uniforms, let not there be our depiction, let not there be anything of the Indian army.
Sir, you raised a very pertinent point when you talk about insulting to Sikhs, and I will come back both to you, Meghna Girish and Meghna Girish, to talk about it. How are Sikhs and why are Sikhs feeling insulted in this? But Meghna Pant, Laal Singh Chaddha shows a subpar subpar IQ commando, special forces commando who's subpar. Now, that is wrong depiction of our commandos, say our veterans, especially those commandos who fought and won Kargil. Take the example of Major Sudhir Walia, 9 para special forces, awarded Ashok Chakra in a counter-terror operation, Sena Medal and Bar for gallantry, conquered Zulu top in Kargil. Madam, he topped every course that he was a part of, including courses he went for in the United States of America. So, is Aamir Khan guilty of blatantly wrong depiction of our soldiers?
Gaurav, I don't think I don't have watched the film, so I can't comment on that per se. But I would just say, I was listening to your Nasir and your argument, and I just want to say, I think, can I just present a slightly more moderate stance, which I think our nation needs. We are, on our 75th year of independence. We are one nation. We are not, anek. We are ek, and I think that's something we need to be cognizant of. And at the same time, I keep coming and saying, I've said this before also on your platform, that art is no longer stronger than the artist, right? Earlier, in today's world, no creators living in an ivory tower, right? Earlier, for example, authors would be read, but they would not be seen or heard. Now you've got authors who are, read only if they're seen and heard. So I feel like the God is no longer now in the superstar, but in the social media, thanks to sort of the advent of it. And the era of this infallible, glamorous movie star is unfortunately over. And I think we're at a tipping point where if the cancel culture takes over, our film industry, our artists, everybody, we all have to be very aware and very mindful of how we are now representing our art. And we have to be extremely responsible towards it. At the same time, I also feel like opinions are like armpits, like everybody has them and most of them stink. So you have to decide which part of the fault line you're in. But I think the one thing that will change the conversation, I don't know if you can hear me.
Loud and clear, loud and clear.
Oh,
Meghna,
great.
please go ahead.
I think the one thing that will change the conversation is if there's a law of the land, a mandate, because, Gaurav is seeing this again and again, this huge tussle between the artist and the censor. Our nation can do better. I mean, Bollywood employs lakhs and lakhs.
Of course our nation can do better. Our artists can do better. Our artists can also do better. It's a two-way street. It's a two-way street.
Exactly.
It's a democracy. And in a democracy, people have a right to be heard. Meghna Girish, you've written about Bollywood and the Hindi film industry's fixation with a hostile country in our neighborhood. In this movie too, you're upset. Meghna Girish, why are you upset, ma'am?
Look, first of all, if you have made an adaptation, then you might as well have stayed true to what the original was. In the original, Lieutenant Lang was his superior officer whom he saves and who later becomes his buddy and, his business partner. What was the need over here to go pick up the enemy? That's what I've heard. I've seen some clips on Twitter. I haven't watched the movie, I must say. But if this is true, that if he's gone and, rescued, I understand an honor code, you rescue your enemy. You don't make him your business partner. For that, I think, have you made this movie for Indian audiences or is it to please someone across the border? It does hurt us. It is insulting. It is extremely painful to see
Nasir
such
Abdullah,
kind
you
of,
laugh. Nasir Abdullah, you laugh when a martyr's mother says she's hurt and she's upset. You mock her.
No, I'm not mocking her. You're putting words into my mouth.
No,
don't do that.
She said I'm hurt and you laugh, sir.
I can't for the life of me imagine someone like Aamir Khan doing something to please another nation.
Look, I also liked Aamir Khan's movie, like Tari Zameen Par.
Nasir Abdullah, okay, let the lady complete her point. Let her complete her point, sir.
Let me complete the point.
Let her complete her point
I'm
first.
sorry, Gaurav.
Sir, her son made the supreme sacrifice for India fighting Pakistani terrorists. The least you can do is give her 30 seconds to speak.
That has nothing to do with Aamir Khan. Why in the world would Aamir Khan make a film to please our enemies? Are you out of your minds, guys? Are you out of your mind, Mr. Sawant? What is wrong with you?
I'm asking a question and
that's
it's not
why
my
I'm
question.
laughing.
It's a brave soldier's mother, a brave soldier who made the supreme sacrifice of his life fighting Pakistani terrorists. She's asking the question. At least have the courtesy of listening to her.
Yes, I will do the courtesy,
At
but
least,
please don't speak rubbish.
at least be courteous, sir.
Mr. Sawant.
Ma'am, please
Thank
go
you.
on.
Go on, madam. Go on.
Gaurav,
madam.
I have liked Aamir Khan's movies in the past.
Sir, you say
I
you will
have
be courteous
watched
and
Tare
then you
Zameen Par.
continue to speak, sir.
I have
Kindly give us 20
admired the way
seconds,
he
sir.
picked up subjects and made a movie like Tare Zameen Par. Even the more recent Dangal, I have definitely liked it. But like I have said, first of all, adaptation of this movie which doesn't fit our context, if Mr. was so perfect, he really should have done his research properly. And on top of that, you don't have to make, this is not just an insult to soldiers' families, it is like to all Indians to assume that, you know, somebody from the enemy can become your business partner and just stay on in this country and, I don't know, go when you please. This is what I have read and seen clips about. This is not, this is definitely painful. You don't do such
Okay,
things.
Nasir Abdullah, what is this Hindi film industry's Pakistan prem? Pakistan bleeds India. Pakistan bleeds India, and yet, no, hear me out. Before you fly off the handle, sir. Before you fly off the handle, hear me out, sir. Hear me out. Pakistan bleeds India. Their actors and cricketers abuse India on Kashmir. But why is there this one section in Bollywood that is hell-bent on hiding ground realities about Pakistan?
Okay, I'll give you the answer. Here is the deal. I first want to ask Madam here, who seems to insinuate that he's doing something to please the country across the border. Madam, nobody has spoken about it yet from all the people who have viewed the film. Can you give me any evidence to show that this has been done with the intent to please the enemy country? Can you give me one evidence?
Sir,
have you got any evidence?
You need to respond to a question. Do not deflect.
Major General.
Do not deflect, Nasir Abdullah. I've asked you a question, so you need to answer that question.
No, okay, I will answer the question.
Abdullah,
Because I don't know the answer to that. You would have to find out
clips.
yourself. But answer the question. You are making an accusation.
Okay, Nasir Abdullah, nobody is going to derail this debate, but let me bring in Meghna Pant into this conversation. You can have all faders down.
Why could he not show him
All faders down. Hold on. We need, I want to bring in Jail Kulkarni also. Jail Kulkarni, Shahid Afridi is that Pakistani cricketer who broke a television in his house because his daughter watched a Hindi serial showing Aarti and his daughter was imitating that Aarti. Pakistani cricketer, and we call them to play cricket with us. They're actors, they're cricketers, they rant on Kashmir, and yet a section in our film industry depicts a very rosy picture about Pakistan. Now, is that also your appreciation? Is our film industry misleading our own country?
Gaurav, what happens is Pakistan uses terrorism as an instrument of state policy, and that must be brought out loud and clear. In this context also, the Pakistanis want this movie to be shown there. What does that show? That it shows that just because the Indian army and the Sikhs are not being shown in the proper light, I thought that at least the people must be careful. They must be sensitive to the sentiments of the Indian armed forces, as also the Sikhs, who form a very great part, and very brave soldiers they all are, and we all are. And therefore, I don't think, even if adaptation had to be done, it should have been done keeping the sentiments in mind. This is an old movie. Tom Hanks' movie, I saw it in 1994 or something like that. And now you can't have an adaptation identical to, say, even if they had to show, even if a movie had to be shown, I thought that at least the Indian army and the Sikhs should have been kept away from it. Anything else could have been done. But to show it, and Pakistan wanting the rights of it, is indicative how much they're going to be laughing at the kind of morons that they've shown of Laal Singh Chaddha. I think it's not correctly done. It is absolutely disgraceful. It should have been avoided.
Okay. Nasir Abdullah, the man you mock planted the first tricolor on the Siachen Glacier, incidentally, before Pakistan could do it. It was a race, and he did it first. Pakistan couldn't do it. But what is Bollywood's Pakistan prem all about, sir? Pakistan bleeds us. Their actors and cricketers abuse us on Kashmir, and yet the section on Bollywood is hell-bent on hiding ground realities.
I will answer the question. I hope you're ready for this. For Rande Basanti, Pakistan apparently, this is the information I've got, apparently wanted to buy the film from Aamir, but at the end of the film, there was a scene about them unfurling the national flag of India. They wanted him to remove the scene. He said, go to hell. They refused to buy the film because he refused to change the ending. You guys have not heard of this. Please find out and please tell me, are you insinuating that Aamir Khan is a traitor?
Sir, I asked you a question about Bollywood. I asked you a question about a section in India's film industry that bends over backwards to bring in Pakistanis when Pakistanis bleed us and abuse us.
Right, bleed us. Pakistan is a rogue nation. Absolutely accepted. They are mentally sick, and I understand because of their involvement. Hang on, Pakistan is a rogue nation. I know that. They are mentally sick. They're schizophrenic. They've been after India for the past 30, 40, 50 years. I don't know what is wrong with them. They should move on with their lives. They're idiotic. I'm hoping to give a message to the people of Pakistan and say, tell your government to stop meddling in Kashmir. It is so stupid. I'm amazed that they can be so stubbornly idiotic. I got no problem about that. They're a rogue nation, but to accuse our actor, and Aamir Khan is a gentleman, he's a scholar, don't do that to him. Don't insinuate that he's a traitor. Shame on you.
Meghna Pant, we just got the line back with her. Meghna Pant, Shahid Afridi, for example, that Pakistani cricketer, we were just talking about him. He broke the TV in his house because his daughter watched a Hindi serial that was showing Aarti. Look at Pakistani actors or their cricketers and their rants on Kashmir, their singers and their rants on Kashmir. And yet, this section in our film industry, is that alarming? They don't show the truth about Pakistani terror. And they build this great picture about Bhaichara, which clearly doesn't exist from Pakistan's side.
I don't know if I agree with that. I think, what's happened, Gaurav, is there's been such a change, such a shift in the way India now operates and thinks, that I think there's, like I said, it's a tussle between, we are conflating the artist with the art. So, what we're doing is if we don't like the artist's statements or their viewpoints or their opinions, because of cancel culture, we're cancelling the art that they're also producing.
But
I think
here we're talking facts on ground, Meghna, based on actions and not past words.
But watch the movie before deciding. I don't know. I haven't watched it, so I'm no one to say that it's insulting or pro-Pakistan. I really doubt it because Aamir Khan is an artist all of us love and respect hugely. So I sincerely doubt that he would do something like that. And I think Bollywood is a very smart, intelligent industry. I really doubt that they will produce content that is, unpatriotic in any way. Let's not question the patriotism of, everybody. Let's not paint everybody with a brush because they made one statement off the cuff. I think let's give people a fair chance. Aamir Khan is one of the best actors that our country has ever produced. I'm a fan, I'm sure you are. All of us have admired his talent. He's given our country so much. So let's give his film also a chance before, deciding its fate or before cancelling him or before cancelling his film.
Okay.
Watch a film for its story, for what it brings to your life, for what it evokes in you, for the emotions. You're making the nation then miss out on a film that can elevate, that can take a conversation forward.
But is it elevating, Jalal Kulkarni? Is this harmless creative liberty? Or do you see an agenda at work as some have alleged? Business partnership that, Meghna Girish was talking about in Forrest Gump. It was with a US Army officer. In Laal Singh Chaddha, it's with a person from a hostile country. Is that worrisome?
I think again, the only part that is worrisome, and I say this with a very, practical point of view, is that the sensibilities have changed. We are a sensitive nation now, and people are speaking up about it. So when people are creating art, when artists are making statements online, and I'm also guilty of that, we need to be a little more sensitive. We need to we need to be a little more mindful in the art we are presenting. So let's not impinge on anybody's religious sentiments, or anybody's. I'm talking about Hindus or Muslims or Christians. Let's be sensitive to every, because we're a democratic country, and let's not cross boundaries. And if you're crossing the boundaries, then be willing to pay the price for it. So
if you're repeatedly crossing the boundaries and only in one direction, Jalal Kulkarni, if you're repeatedly, and if an artist is repeatedly crossing boundaries and only in one direction, then if I were to go back to that Ian Fleming line, once it's happenstance, twice it's coincidence, third time, Jalal Kulkarni, it would be seen as enemy action.
Gaurav, all said and done, I think Aamir himself has said, people who do not approve of his movie, please do not see. That is firstly. Secondly, he himself has probably it looks that he now must have regretted as to why did he make a movie like this, which is hurting the sentiments of a large number of people. And President, I do agree, you must respect the sentiments and sensibilities, especially when you are an actor of that stature. You must be careful. And when you know you're doing that, an adaptation of this kind, which is 100% showing a moron, I think it would be celebrated in Pakistan, and definitely it would not be seen in the correct picture. However good you may be an actor, you must be careful of the sentiment. And in this context, I would say that definitely showing the Sikhs or the Indian Army in a bad light was a definitely disgraceful and bad show, not accepted.
Not acceptable, you say. General, that aspect about Sikhs being showed in backlight, in poor light. Your take on that? How does that happen? And for the army, this could have ramifications. Jan Kulkarni.
Yeah, definitely. See, there are no ramifications. People are wise enough; they understand what. But why unnecessarily get involved today? People are very careful, people are sensitive. We must ensure we must not cross that limit. And after all, it is one of the finest organizations. Everybody respects. I'm sure Aamir himself also respects. I've seen him on shows here and there. So he has great respect and regards for the armed forces, not denying the fact. But is that the way to show the armed forces? And this was a movie made decades back. And times have changed. Sensibilities have changed. People are sensitive to what is being shown. You yourself wouldn't want to show your own army and the Sikh troops in a bad light. That's not the way to show when we are a very, very professional army. We don't have morons in the army at all.
I will let that be the last word on the show. Nasir Abdullah, Meghna Pant, Meghna Girish and Jan Kulkarni for joining me here on this India Today special. Many thanks.